We have David Dudenhoefer. He's running for Congress in the 13th District.
Thank you. See some familiar faces. Good to see you folks again. Some of you that I don't know, I'll be happy to come around, shake hands, get to know you a little bit better. But I just come from Wayne, Michigan, knocking on doors. It is a write-in campaign. So for those of you that have been around for a while, you know that I must be sick in my head. But I ran, I got the signatures that I needed, and on a technical issue, which was my fault, the signatures were thrown out. So we didn't have anybody. And so I'm not going to go out that way. I'm not going to have the 13th District just not represented at all. So I decided to run the write-in. The threshold is fortunately pretty small in the 13th District. Should I get through? The problem is it's the 13th District. So, but really for me, running has been interesting. Running this race, knocking on doors, listening to people, communicating ideas back and forth from the different communities in our district, you learn some things. You learn some things that you didn't know just as a precinct delegate or just as a district chair or just being involved in party politics. You really get to know the community a little bit better, and I have, at least on a minute scale. I mean, 700,000 people, I'm not going to meet them all, but I've met a good chunk of them, and I've got to learn some things. But I tell you this, no matter what, for me, running, being involved in politics is all about defending liberty. Always defending individual liberty, people's rights to make choices for themselves as best as their decisions aren't impeding upon your pursuit of happiness. And so that means tolerance over acceptance. You might not accept their choices, but we tolerate them because they have to tolerate ours. And if we're not doing that, then this means very little, at least from my perspective. And so when I listen to folks, what I hear is, you folks have some good ideas, but you're always telling us how to live our lives. This is what I hear from voters in the 13th District. Whether that's true or not, this is their perspective. So I've got to unravel some of that thinking and start talking about some of the things that I believe in. And I think on a good, solid liberty message, you can bridge the gap between folks on the center left and folks on the center right. And I think most folks fall in that category. The tribalism of the far left and the far right are kind of the extremes, and they're always going to be there. There's nothing we can do about that. But if we can start shifting the folks on center left to center right, we can win elections. And I think of the 13th District, and I think of specifically one city that I thought was pretty interesting, Garden City. In 2012, Barack Obama won Garden City. In 2014, we had a gentleman run for state rep. Some of you know Jim Rhodes. Jim ticked that percentage up for Republican votes from the last gentleman that ran for state rep by, I believe it was 13 points, by getting out there, knocking on doors, building from the ground up locally. That's what we got to do, build from the ground up. 2016, Trump won Garden City. Now, not by much, but he won. Now, to me, the lesson is perhaps, just perhaps, by knocking on doors in that off year and building up a list, building up a contact list, maybe Jim reached some folks and was able to help contribute to turning the city red. So to me, that's encouraging for Wayne County by finding those local races that we can get involved in and win, and building our farm team, and then translating that to the bigger elections later on. It's not an overnight fix. Certainly I know Mr. Hartunian and several others that have been involved for a long time have been at this, and sometimes it's very frustrating, but I think that's a good formula for success if we can focus that way. And so I'm encouraged by people like Valerie Parker here, and I'm encouraged by people like Deshaun Wilkins that are running in our district. And we're going to find out, we're going to see some information this year and find out where we're at, what we're doing right. And it's about the future generation. If we're not focused on our future generation, look at this party. I mean, we're going to age ourselves out here. So we've got to youth in this party up. And I think a good, strong, conservative message that is rooted in liberty, I think we can do that. And so that's why for State Board of Ed, here we got Tammy Carlone and Mr. Z, Dr. Z, excuse me. I don't think he's still here. He might have left. But I support the both of them fully for their run because I know that Dr. Z is committed. I saw him. We were the only two Republicans at a Western Wayne County NAACP event. And so I know he's reaching out across party lines because he cares. He's reaching across to different demographics. And Tammy's been fighting that fight against Common Core for for a long time and has been pretty consistent. So, so they have my support. Now, if you want to knock on doors or make phone calls, I know some of you have been around the party a long time. You've been doing this long before I got here. But it's going to make a difference when we knock on doors, listen to voters, offer up a good message, and when we make those phone calls. So Joe Weaver's back there. See Joe and get hooked up on that app that we have, because I've been using that walk app and the phone app. I'm driving out to cities on the phone. When I get to the city, I'm on the walk app. When I drive back home, I'm on the phone again. And that makes a difference. You can reach voters, and you can hear their story. You can offer them up something positive. So, so I just want to leave you with those few thoughts. I'm going to keep knocking. I'm going to write in. I want to get through this primary so we can take it to the Dems, because I'm sorry, $15 an hour minimum wage is not an answer. Universal pay, where the government just cuts everybody a check for $500 or $1,000, is not an answer. Universal health care, more free stuff, is not an answer. All we're going to do is distort the market, and we're going to hurt the very people that they claim that they're fighting for. So we want to offer up something very different, getting back to our constitutional roots. When you elect somebody and they go to DC or Lansing, they need to obey the Constitution and obey the law strictly without exception. Those are the people we need to support, and I believe we can turn the 13th district around and turn it red very soon. Thank you.